For anyone that doesn't know me, my name's Amanda Godfrey. I am one of the owners of Mystical Dragon, the founder of Mystical Dragon. And all across this year, I have done Facebook Lives connected in with the upcoming full moons. And of course we have our very last full moon for the year that's coming up on Sunday. So I thought we must round off the year by doing one more Facebook Live for this upcoming full moon that we have for this Sunday, the Gemini full moon. So thank you for joining me, and we'll kind of dive into it. So this here in Melbourne, Australia, we definitely have the full moon falling on this Sunday, which is December the 19th. For us here in Melbourne with the daylight savings, it will be 3:35 p.m. And I did grab a couple of other dates for around the world. So in the UK it will also fall on December the 19th, but at 4:35 a.m. And in New York it will actually be on December the 18th at 11:35 p.m. So that's when it will be completely full. But of course we usually have 3 days that we can really access that heightened full moon energy. So if that date does not suit you, and it doesn't have to be at that particular time, but we tend to like to focus any of our kind of work that we want to do specifically with the full moon on the Sunday. But if that doesn't suit you, then really you could do Saturday, Sunday or Monday. You could do any of your manifesting, magical, healing work that you want to do with that heightened full moon energy. And of course with all full moons it is really a heightened time, which is we really love to use full moon energy because it's really going to amplify everything. So we can do healing work, we can do manifesting work, we can do clearing work, we can do things like charging up our crystals and any of our other sacred tools. This is an ideal time to put them in that energy. We can make moon water. Moon water is very potent at the full moon as well. So, get your jar of water out and charging up in the moon on Sunday night as well. We can do divination. It's a great time to do meditation, any of your spells, any kind of manifesting work. It doesn't just have to be for spells and ritual. There's so much that we can do in that full moon energy. But of course the Gemini energy focuses in on some certain aspects where there's like certain key areas that will really be more heightened again. So it would be most ideal to work in any of these key areas. But if it's not a key, if these key areas aren't areas that you need to or you're feeling called to work with, then like I said, it's going to be a potent time anyway. So if there's other areas, don't feel like you can't focus on those. Hey Sandy, welcome honey. So for this Gemini energy, communication is a really big aspect of the Gemini energy. So working with communication on any level you might be feeling called to. Things like change of residence is very Gemini, doing writing or public relations, searching for answers, anything connected with the intellect, with the mind, with thinking and learning is very Gemini as well. Also things like being adaptable and being able to multitask, do more than one thing at a time, or move with change, be adaptable, flexible, moving with change is really important. Understanding, which also works in with that intellect side of things as well. And of course dealing with siblings, that Gemini sign where you have like the twins. So dealing with siblings, if you've got any dramas that are going on with any family members, particularly siblings, then this Gemini full moon energy is going to be really helpful to you with that as well. And it can be a good time to work on any kind of travel that you want to do. So if there's blocks to travel going on for you, you really feel that you need to do some travel, this could be a time to put some energy into that too. And of course while the full moon is really good for all kinds of healing, the Gemini moon in particular has us focused more on the chest and stomach areas. So you could do healing in other areas, but the Gemini full moon will really kind of boost chest and stomach if you're having any issues around those areas, it will be particularly amplified for you. So keep that in mind going forward. So I just wanted to, I suppose, highlight a couple of those areas and talk, expand a little bit on them as I often do. For me, Gemini energy is often that communication energy. That tends to be where I focus. I find it so helpful. But at the moment, with it being December as well, I also find that I'm really called to look back on the year and kind of really work with that understanding and doing any kind of healing that we might need to do before we actually move into this brand new year as well. So that's why for our full moon box, that was the focus that we have done for that particular box that's come out this month. But I wanted to talk a few things that you could do even if you don't have the full moon box. Things that you might be encouraged to think about doing with this Gemini full moon. So things like your meditation, taking time for meditation, for contemplation, taking some quiet time, some journaling time, just to reflect on the different aspects, the different things that have happened this year. Anything that still maybe kind of, makes you twinge a little bit, either in a good or a bad way, that's kind of happened across the year. And seeing if there's anything further there that maybe needs to, you need to do a little bit of clearing or a little bit of healing on. So consider, just have a real big think about the year, even go through month by month. What happened in January? What were the highlights? What was the good and the bad that occurred then? And how am I feeling about those now? Are there kind of like themes or issues that kind of dragged on over a number of months or even continuing now that you maybe need to have a look at and perhaps address? So, really have a good think and just sit with it and really have a good feel too. Don't just do it all on that intellectual level. Really have a good, time for quiet time and contemplation and thinking and feeling through the year that was for you. And remembering there's no judgment. It's not about anybody else, what their thoughts were about certain situations, if they handled them better or worse than you did, or how other people have judged you for the different situations. It's just reflecting on you and where you sit with those situations as well. And you might have had quite a positive year and feel like you've made some really positive changes, which is awesome if you have. Or you might still be going through some stuff or have some lingering things that kind of, are coming up for you, needing to be looked at, perhaps needing to do some clearing or some healing work on specifically. For this sort of work, I would call on some divinities, like the goddess Metis is a Greek goddess who is a goddess known for her wise counsel. She's also known for things like having really great patience, her beautiful wisdom, and her wonderful guidance. So she would be a goddess to consider calling on and connecting with through the contemplation and through the healing and clearing side, if that's something you're embracing at this Gemini moon. Even the god Thoth, who's an Egyptian god, he's pretty amazing for the same sort of thing. He's wonderful to connect with his wise guidance. He's very good at being able to kind of connect you with some of the lessons, the reasons why. Thoth is connected with Akashic records, so he can really help us in that reflecting, looking back, and understanding some of the lessons, maybe having some of those understandings come forward for us. So that we can be aware and perhaps do some work with that, or even just have that aha moment so that you can move forward just with that, oh, that's what it was about. Well, now I understand, Sometimes that's all it is that you need and there's no extra work to do. For that kind of work, I would also focus on crystals that are particularly connected to the brow. The brow chakra not only connects with our intuition, but also connects with our intellect and with our mind and with memory and all of those things too. And understanding, of course. Tara, Thoth is Thoth. That's a good question because he does have tricky spelling. And the goddess Metis is one that I highlighted at the start of this month. So you could go back to the goddess connections, the 7 days that I did, but her name is Metis. So so your brow chakras would be really good. So like your amethyst, any of your purple crystals would be really good. Even like a selenite would be really great. A labradorite would really help with accessing some of that wisdom, some of that understanding, and kind of, working on that side of things, understanding some of your lessons. So I would encourage, sit with that and see if any of those kinds of crystals are talking to you to assist you with that sort of work. And like I said, for me, I wouldn't just reflect and have an understanding. If there's stuff that pops up, then I would go the next step and be ready to do some clearing or some healing in relation to that too. So if you did do any healing or clearing, I would work with either a black or a white crystal, candle, to do some of that clearing with. You could do like a little burning ritual if you wanted to. I also have an elemental healing and clearing spell on Mystical Dragon's Book of Shadows, which is on our website. That's completely free to access there, and that uses earth, air, fire, water connections to help do some clearing as well as some healing. It's a really beautiful spell that you might want to use and access there. For the healing side, crystals that connect particularly with the heart, or of course just go intuitively if there's a crystal that really calls to you to help with that healing. So I would more tend towards the green coloured crystals. Some of my favourites at the moment is prehnite, unakite, Kambaba jasper, ocean jasper. These are all beautiful, quite gentle but really quite powerful healing crystals. So that would help with all of that understanding and doing some clearing and healing on anything that pops up for you as well. So they would assist you for sure. Also, I'd encourage you not to be shy about maybe reaching for some divination tools, because that can really help us in that understanding and seeing what the lesson is, or where am I stuck, where's the blockage, what should I focus on a healing level. Our divination tools can be really helpful, because sometimes it can be hard to see or get clarity because we're so in the situation. So some of our divination tools can be helpful to just get more clarity around, whatever it is. So, don't be shy. Reach for your oracle cards or your tarot cards or your runes or your pendulum or whatever divination tool it is that you're feeling guided or you have the most confidence with, just to help give you that bit of clarity. Or maybe in the couple of days in the lead up, you could even ask universe to bring you any signs to kind of show you where should I be looking, where should I be focusing for some clearing and healing from this year. And I'm sure universe would bring you some signs to help guide you on that level too. The universe is good at doing that too. Oh, that's right. And I also have a clarity of mind spell that is on the online Book of Shadows too. So you might find that to be helpful, just to help clear things so that you can see a lot more clearly too. So that's an option to take a look at and consider for this full moon as well, to assist you on those levels. So as I mentioned, the other area that I particularly feel guided with the Gemini full moon, bearing in mind that all of those key areas I mentioned you certainly might feel called to do, but I just don't have time to go deeply into all of them. So communication is that other big area that I find I get called to when it's particularly a Gemini full moon. So if you're having any dramas with communication, if you feel like there's some blocks for you when it comes to communication, even if it's a specific person or a specific, like a problem that's going on at work that's connected to communication, this can be a time to put some energy into communication for you. And it's not a bad time, considering we actually have a Mercury retrograde quite early on in January. So it's not a bad time to do some clearing work around communication, so that you can kind of be in a better space for when that Mercury retrograde comes through, which of course always affects our communication as well. So consider, if you want to make communication your focus, consider things like your blue crystals tend to be very communication focused. So your blue lace agates, your blue apatite, sodalite, lapis lazuli, angelite, celestite, all of these beautiful crystals will assist you with communication. and just go with which ones you're feeling called to. For me, I find that the lighter coloured blue crystals will have that softer energy for you, and the darker colour blue crystals can tend to give you a really much stronger push in that particular energy. So as an example, I tend to find lapis lazuli can give me a bit of a sharp tongue if I'm not careful, and that's one of our darker blue crystals. So just something to be aware of. It might not affect you in the same way, because they do affect us a little individually as well. There are a couple of spells in connection particularly to communication on our online book of shadows. So if you're feeling called to communication and you want a specific spell, jump on Mystical Dragon's website, mysticaldragon.com.au, and it's got a book of shadows tab there that it will take you to. I think I've got about 40 spells there now for various things, so you could certainly have a look there and see if there's one that suits you. For communication, I would work with somebody like the god Mercury, would be really wonderful. Thoth, once again, that Egyptian god I mentioned earlier, he's really good at all things to do with communication, including like writing and contracts and all of those sorts of things as well. And there's actually a Japanese goddess that I highlighted at the start of this month too in my 7 days of goddess energy. And excuse me, I'll have to pronounce her name, is Benzaiten, I believe it is pronounced, but it's spelt Benzaiten, and she's in the Goddess Power Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reid, and she's very connected with words and communication and being able to flow with that communication as well. So she would be a really lovely energy to call on if you're trying to work on communication on whatever level as well. Don't forget as well that so this Gemini full moon will be a great time just to do any kind of communication in general. So if there's writing that you've been putting off, maybe you want to work on a book or writing a report, or whatever kind of writing that it might be, then over this weekend will probably be a really ideal time to work on that writing, because that energy is going to be really heightened. So it doesn't have to be that you're doing a spell or a ritual or a manifesting. It might be that you're just actually dedicating time to do that writing, maybe do that journal writing, or whatever it might be. Or if there's maybe somebody that you really need to communicate with and have really clear, open-hearted communication, then over this weekend might be the ideal time to do that, because of that heightened Gemini energy that's going to actually assist you in that communication. And especially whenever I tackle anything like that, I actually call in a divinity to assist me with that. So Archangel Gabriel, if you want to work with an angel rather than a god or goddess, Archangel Gabriel is a really good one to work with when it comes to communication, I find. So, call in that particular energy before you go into that meeting, or before you have that conversation with that particular person, or call in that energy before you start doing your writing, and just ask them to assist you on whatever way that you need that assistance, and just you can feel that support there and know that you're not alone in doing whatever it is. So know that it doesn't have to be that magical side of things. It can be doing some of those more mundane things that kind of connect in with some of those key energies too. That's highly appropriate, particularly across those 3 days. But I'm sure that you, like myself, can already feel that energy building. So we can start at any time. If you feel inspired tonight after you've watched this to start doing things, then certainly do it. Why wait? When we've got that inspiration and we're connected into that energy, why wait? We might as well kind of flow with that and take advantage of that when it's actually happening. So they're the real two main areas that I really felt called to talk about tonight. Probably the only other thing to mention, communication. Blue tends to be the colour of the candle that I would work with if you were trying to put a spell together for yourself, or maybe just wanted to charge up a candle and burn that with your intent. Then blue would be the colour I would work with when it comes to communication. On the understanding lessons and doing some healing work, a yellow candle can be good with the whole understanding side of things, that learning the lessons, kind of connecting on those levels. So that can be good if you're feeling like you're struggling. or a white candle can be really good. And a white or black candle tends to be ideal colours for doing any kind of clearing work in particular. If you're feeling, you could obviously work with some heart energy as well when you're doing the healing side of that. So something like a pink candle or even a blue or a green candle, all very connected in on a healing level. So just kind of see intuitively what colours you're feeling guided to use for you. I personally love to use candles, and I love to use crystals. And I just think, you know, it can be really simple little acts like lighting a candle that you've put a lot of intent into, and carrying a crystal that is, you know, in line with your intent, can be just really powerful all by themselves. So, you know that it doesn't have to be something that's super elaborate. Plus, of course, don't forget to get out and do some moon gazing while we have that beautiful moon energy. I think we've got some rain and storms coming tomorrow night, but hopefully we might have a clearer night on Sunday to be able to do some moon gazing with this full moon as well.